relationship with.
We're live.
Oh, we're live?
You missed the countdown. It was the perfect timing of getting a sip. I'm like, what are we waiting for?
Well, here we go. Behind the scenes. And anybody that's watching, hey, everybody. We're about to record Catholic Mom. What is it? Catholic Momcast with Allison. And we're talking about the summer in 3, 2,
Sorry. There we go.
1. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Catholic Momcast. This is Maria Johnson, and with me today is Allison Gingras, and we are having a great conversation pre-recording, which of course will probably mess us up as we laugh throughout this episode. But it's always a pleasure to have you, Allison.
Thank you, Maria. I'm really thrilled that we've been able to start these conversations monthly again. It's always nice to catch up with you and to look deep into our amazing Catholic Mom archives to dive into these themes that we have discovered. I
know.
love today's.
I do too. I'm so looking forward to it. And I've got a little sick grandson over in the living room watching cartoons. And it's okay. It's so sweet and he's comfortable. And I was just getting things ready for him and I thought, "Oh, I can't wait for summer when I can go and explore and do things with the kiddos." And I just look forward to summer. I didn't always though. It was always a chaotic time when you're a young mom and you've got the household to take care of and the kids home from school or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, and so it's your yearly thing, but you also take a break from the schooling in the summer. How did you do that?
Well, I was a homeschool mom for most of my kids' life, but it was nice to have the break for the summer. We would take summers off where we would, continue to do reading, but that's when we would go and explore. And I'm not a routine person. I don't thrive on routine. I don't love routine. So the summers have always been my jam. And so, in case you're wondering what today's theme is, it's summertime.
Summer, summer, summer. Wasn't there a cartoon? Summer, 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 summer.
It's summer with your kids. And we're going to, of course, add in the concluding Jesus on your summer vacation time because, well, we are Catholic Mom after all.
It is essential. It is essential. Well, we have some great articles from our
Yes.
archives, and let's dive into them because
Yes.
I think that Michelle Hamill really kind of hits the mark with what starts to bubble up in our hearts as we see summer really on the horizon and getting closer and closer. What to do? How do we pace ourselves?
Yes. I like this idea of the brainstorming. She's like, I like to brainstorm a list. My kids and I used to write things down on little pieces of paper and throw them in a jar. And then we try to be random about picking them up. But of course, if we picked out the beach day and it's pouring out, we go to the museum day. We just the idea of this is a time to really dive into whatever it is that you can't do during the school year, and really find fun things to do and keep that attitude of this is a joy to spend this extra time with your children and not let it overwhelm you, which is, I know, easy to do.
It really is. And I used to do that. Like I used to make a list of the places I wanted to go with the kids. And a lot of it was park time, just going to the park and having
Yeah.
picnics. But I never thought to ask them, to include them in the brainstorming. Like I would tell them, "Hey, we're going to go to the park today." And then it was pandemonium. Yay! Or we're going to go to the beach today. And then that, of course, we were living in Miami at the time, so that was very accessible and I hate to say it, Allison, but also a great opportunity to wear their little bodies out for good for good nap time and
Yes.
early bedtime. But I love the idea of the brainstorming and making maybe keeping a list on the fridge for people.
That,
Um, Go
that
ahead.
just reminded me of an idea that my children, I hadn't thought about this in years. A friend and we wanted the boys, we both have two boys. I didn't have Faithy yet. We wanted the boys to continue their reading time, but we also needed to wear them out. So we found playgrounds either adjacent to or near libraries. And we would go all over to different towns nearby, within a half an hour radius, we would find a great library, have the kids do, like, I think we picked like a half an hour of reading time, and then we would go wear them out at the playground, have ice cream for lunch, and then get really great nap times. It
That
was
is terrific.
it was we did, oh my gosh, that was the best summer. We had so oddly, my boys even still talk about how much fun that was.
Oh my
Even though
gosh,
we made them read.
that's like the greatest way to keep the summer reading going. Did you when you were a kid, now let's go back, let's hit that way back machine. Did you ever do like the Pizza Hut, the local library, personal pan pizza challenges that they used
I
to
did
do?
not. I didn't even know such a thing existed.
Oh my gosh, we used to do that when we were little, and of course, I was a not a voracious reader, but a ferocious reader. I would go through the list of books in, like, the first week, and
Oh my goodness.
my mother was like, "Can you pace yourself?" And I'm like, "Mom, there's so many books that I haven't read." And so I think that that's where buying the to be the to be read list, uh,
Hmm.
started. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you read, I don't know, X number of books, 10, depending on your grade level, you would read X number of books and then you would get a prize at the end of the summer. And that still existed with my own children.
Wow.
And I am delighted to say that it still exists in a lot of library systems.
Oh,
And
that's
so
fun.
these kiddos are double dipping because not only are they going to their local library, but because they are military kids, they also uh, have um, have the same program on base.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
And the beautiful thing that the local library does here in Northern Virginia is that they let the parents play too. So if you're signing up your child, then you can also sign up yourself.
Oh,
And
wow.
you take out your books and you read them and you leave a little review. I think it's just a little whatever, a little slip of paper. Yeah, and then you get like a mug or something at the end of the summer. Isn't that cute?
That is adorable. I love that. And it's good to see that libraries are still existing and they're still inspiring people to read. I love my Kindle. There's a time and a place, like going to bed at night. My husband goes to bed an hour before me. So if I want to read before I fall asleep, I have to bring in the Kindle. But I do still love touching, smelling, holding, feeling, writing in my books, which is why I don't use the library very often.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Well, these memories that are popping back to me are really, they're just delightful of my childhood. And so, what a great way to experience the summers now, a little bit more intentionally, I think. Lori Lane Dyer talks about summer vacation as just a time to be delighted to have all the children at home.
I loved her line. I look in the eyes of my children and their entire lives flash before me. And it
Wow.
reminded me, I'm sure everyone's heard this already, but the days are long, but the years are short.
Hmm.
And as a mom of young adults, I can attest to that. I remember being exhausted and summers sometimes feel days of summer, not the entire summer, feeling endless, especially when the boys were cranky or fighting or whatever. But now I do anything to go back to those days with this knowledge. So this is why we're imparting this knowledge. I love the intergenerational part of Catholic Mom, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I know you can be overwhelmed, and we're here to support you if you need to reach out for help or, for us to pray for you or with you. But enjoy these days because they
Yeah.
absolutely fly by.
That's right. I finally caught on to the idea of what wisdom is. Wisdom is just experience.
Oh,
It's
well,
just
well said.
passing it on. It's experience, and it's just absolutely thrilling to be in each season of motherhood. And summer is a long season. but so but so wonderful. So I really just appreciate that idea um that just to be present to the summer, and it's okay to take the day off or take the week off and just loll around, maybe with a book, maybe with an ice cream, maybe just sitting on the back porch and picking dandelions,
I
which
think
is
that's such a great point, Maria, that you don't, I mean, we're talking about ideas and brainstorming and planning, but it's okay to not have a day of planned. That you
mhm.
stay in, my daughter loves, we call jammy day. She
Oh yeah.
absolutely loves her jammy day. In fact, At least once a month, we try to go to Mass Saturday night so that Sunday we can just spend the entire day in our jammies and just lollying around and relaxing. And that's important too. I think that's part of what I've noticed with the generation, this younger generation of moms and families, that they feel that if they're not planning every moment of their child's life, their child is going to fall behind, or not achieve the goals and the success that they want them to have. But there's something to be said, hence why one of our commandments is keep holy the Sabbath, right? The Lord himself builds rest into the laws that he puts in our faith and in our hearts. Like, it's good to rest. It's important for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. I think that today's moms have really recaptured that. They are really, I had a delightful time speaking to the women at the local Marine base here, and they all brought their babies. They all,
Oh,
they wanted to be fed, but they also had their children in tow, and it was so awesome. It was a little noisy at times, but beautiful noise. It was beautiful music, and there's this whole idea now to slow down. I think that people are starting to move away from their
yeah.
devices, or at least, setting times, for them. And I'm talking about the adults. I'm not even talking about what each family decides is appropriate for their children. I'm just talking about as adults. I've taken a break from social media that was kind of forced on me because of travel, and it's great to be present in the moment, right?
Yes,
Well,
it is.
I'm shifting the conversation, Allison,
Please. Yes, let's do
because
that.
because we're about to launch into what do you do when you plan a big vacation? So I'm going from, hey, let's lollygag in the backyard to, okay, this is going to be an intensive opportunity. And Mary Wallace talks about taking a vacation to Disney World, and and I think that that's the height of
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot going on in that, especially during the summer when it's hot there,
Oh,
extra
I
hot there.
know. Extra hot. Have you well, our good friend Lisa Hendy's on the other side of the country, and she's a Disneyland fan,
Mm.
and it's probably the same thing. Any one of those parks, I'm not going to have a whole advertisement session here, but what happens when you do plan a vacation that is number one is probably going to be a big financial decision to make because you're looking at travel, you're looking at hotel or Airbnb or VRBO or whatever you're doing, um, and then these parks or botanical gardens or museums, they also have admission costs, and then you have to eat in the parks, and it can be a financial investment, and so I think that what parents want to do is they want to squeeze out every opportunity of time in these places for the kids, and so it can be a bit, time intensive.
Yes. We've only done a few big vacations. We're very much staycation people. My husband doesn't like to fly. But when I was thinking about the Disney vacation, we did it twice. My aunt had moved down to Orlando area for a few years, and we took advantage of it by having a free place to stay. But I also, at that time, because I like to try to keep Jesus somehow in my vacation, because the more busy you get, it seems like the easier it is to forget about Jesus. And I was just thinking about how we took a day. There used to be this place in the Orlando area called Holy Land Adventures, and it was a Bible
How
theme.
did I miss that? I
It
lived
was
there.
it was phenomenal. It was so great. And luckily my kids were like super into Vacation Bible School, and we went to musical Christian musical festivals back then, so they weren't horrified by mother's decision to bring them to the Holy Land Adventures. In fact, they still talk about that almost more than the other place that we visited at that time. But just the idea of like, how do we bring Jesus in? Well, I went looking for a place, a pilgrimage kind of area nearby, and found an entire amusement park based on Jesus. It was fabulous. Sadly, it is now condominiums, but apparently I was the only parent looking for such a thing.
one of the things that that Mary advises is to plan ahead and see, what kind of like I don't think that she had in mind an amusement park, but certainly they planned mass. And if you're in Orlando, the Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe,
Oh, wow.
is it's a mouthful. It is it's a Catholic amusement park. It is it's such a beautiful basilica, and you're capitalizing on all the light that's in Florida, and it's so the windows and it's a beautiful experience to go to mass there.
Oh, and
And
likewise, if you're in Anaheim, there's the
yeah,
Crystal. What's it called? Crystal
yeah, the Crystal Cathedral. I
Cathedral.
don't know if they've renamed. I'm sure they've renamed it.
But that's the easiest way to find it is
Yeah.
to Google Crystal Cathedral. I was there during the renovations, so I never got to go inside, sadly. But it
Oh,
looked spectacular from the outside, and I saw pictures afterwards. We did get to go to the top of there's a like a visiting center nearby, and we got to go to the top of that because we were with somebody who knew um, people. But anyway, I think if you look, not even that hard, you can find some way, at least 1 hour, to bring Jesus into that. Because let's think about it, right? Any of these things we're able to do with our children, especially big vacations, these are
mhm.
great gifts from God. And I think to remind our children that every good gift comes from God, as the scripture says, and to thank Him in that way of making time for Him in the middle of all the crazy, I think is a beautiful lesson to our children that
Yeah,
God is part of your everyday, ordinary life, and you don't just spend 45 minutes with Him on Sunday, but you incorporate Him in the way that we do. That is an example to our children that they will take. We pray with them.
that's so true. And it's a beautiful thing to do as a family, which makes me think that it's a great way to introduce going on pilgrimage too.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
if you start off your vacation with a prayer and with the intention that you are going on pilgrimage, it really does set a tone for the
Yeah.
trip, and it invites Jesus to join you,
Yes.
to come along for the ride, if you will. But also, what a great lesson for the kids that any trip to a place that has some kind of spiritual connection, whether it's going to a Holy Land amusement park or to a basilica, or keeping our Sunday obligation intact. That's essential. That's really essential. So these are all really great things, but let's go on to our last
Yes.
article, Practice Your Faith Along with the Fun of Vacation, and that's by Emily Jaminet. And tell me about that because I know that you're friends with Emily and have
I
had lots of contact.
One of my favorite things about Emily is she doesn't just write about her faith, she lives it.
Yeah.
And she lives it so beautifully, so completely, and she brings all her kids into it. Like when she gives you a list of things that you can do with the children over the summer to bring Jesus, it's because they're tried and true. Like this woman, Emily Geminet, does practice what she preaches. And so, sometimes you can look at these lists and think, well, that's not possible. But I know that they're possible because Emily, um, like I said, she lives what she teaches. And I loved her list. She had the daily rosary. Like we think that's going to take so long, and it doesn't. Family Rosary just created a family rosary companion. It will be hopefully, please God, available for download by time this goes live. You can go to Family Rosary or CatholicMom.com to find it. And it is coloring pages. It is a rosary that your children can color in while they're praying along with you and learn the mysteries. There's one for each set of the mysteries. So I know that praying the rosary with your kids can be a challenge. Like my kids used to use their rosaries as lassos and whips. My daughter is deaf, so trying to sign with the prayers with the rosary in my hands. My friend knitted me um, these roses, like different colors, so 10 red and 1 blue rose, and so we could count them while we signed the
Oh,
prayers.
what a
It was
great idea.
it was so brilliant, and my boys, hearing boys, loved them just as much. it was like really fun to kind of, and there's so many beautiful manipulatives out there. Catholic Mom has a whole list of resources where you can find Catholic stores and these different ways of adding that kinesthetic aspect to the
Mhm.
prayer of the rosary so that children are engaged. Like we're not just asking them to sit there. There are beautiful books with images. I love Visio Divina. When you use images to pray, there are ways to bring the daily rosary into your children's life especially over the summer, that isn't boring or it brings it. It's such a powerful prayer. So anyway, I love that she included the rosary.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've done, with the littles lately is, maybe 20 minutes or 25 minutes on for a full rosary might be a lot, but I've just done the opening prayers. I haven't, because it's got the 3 Hail Marys in it, and that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's good enough for the attention span, but, gauge your family's, attention span. Maybe you can get into a full decade, maybe not all 5, but 1.
And you can split it up. That's one of the things that you don't have to pray it all at once. Like you can do the opening prayers, and then maybe an hour later, or before snack time, you do another one. Before bedtime, you do another one. So maybe you only get 2 or 3 in, but it's a good way to start building up that practice. And Father Willie Raymond has a great book from Ave Maria Press. The family that prays together stays together. So another great resource where he breaks it down like a decade at a time, child
Ex
friendly.
Excellent. And another one of the points that Emily brings up is a playlist, a music playlist. And I mean, obviously, in the show notes, we're going to have links to all these articles, but I never even thought of making a playlist for an outing with the kids, And it doesn't have to be the goofy little, songs. These are some deeper songs. But Neil Young, Harvest Moon, for example, is on there. Steve Miller Band. I'm always reminded of Bishop Barron's commentary some years ago where he said the seeds of the gospel are everywhere. And one of the things that I love to do is just listen to the contemporary music to find those
Yep.
seeds of the gospel in it.
I have a beautiful story. Excuse me. Excuse me. I have a beautiful story about music. In this case, it's Christian music, Matt Maher in particular, and Third Day. So I've been talking for years about how both my children, my elderly sons, my older sons, they're not elderly. My older sons, my young
That's an
adult sons,
Allisonism, if ever.
my elderly sons. Anyway, they're away from the church. They're 29 and 26 now. And recently, Palm Sunday to be exact, my middle son, Adam, surprised us by coming back to church. And
Wow.
the beautiful thing was, first, is that he said it was the perfect mass to come back to because it was to hear the passion. And he said, Mom, I remembered through the last 10 years when I was Judas and when I was Peter and how much I don't want to be either
Mm.
because I know that attributed to the crucifixion of Christ. And he also said that it was the Catholic, he knew he needed to be back with the Catholic Church. And even though there's some circumstances that will keep him for now from being able to receive the Eucharist. He's to be full in communion with the church. He said, I'm okay with that because this is where I want to be. And if I only can receive a blessing for the rest of my life, then I accept that because this is the church I want to be in. But the catalyst, the whole point of the story, the catalyst to bringing him back was that the seeds of faith that had been planted from those Christian concerts, from listening to Christian music, that's what brought him back. He goes, I put on Matt Marf. It just felt like I needed it. I was going through some stuff and I just broke down. Matt
Mm.
Maher's songs spoke to my heart. And that's when I realized I needed to come back. So we're playing, we used to do, um, you know, dance parties with Christian music. And we thought we were just having this good time and going to these Christian, festivals and listening to Catholic music and Christian music. And little did I know that was the seed of faith that would bring my son's heart back to the
Mm.
church. So you just never know what God is going to use. So get out those Christian dance parties and have a good time with your kids this summer because you never know what the future will hold.
Oh, praise God. What a great story. And don't forget that there's all kinds of crazy music that's a lot of fun in the Vacation Bible School, uh,
Yes.
programs, and I love that there are now Catholic-specific programs.
Yep.
So that's beautiful. Well, my goodness, we have, lots of lots of ideas to embrace the summer months with, and maybe you listeners will find 1 or 2 little golden nuggets for your summer this year.
I just want to end with the 4 P's that Emily Geminet's article ends with: pilgrimage, and I was thinking about even local holy places that you could visit, pray, praise and worship, and play. Enjoy yourself. I love those 4 P's.
Absolutely. That's a great place to end. Well, thank you all for listening today. And thanks, Allison, for jumping in here. We'll look forward to your next visit in a couple of weeks. And
My pleasure.
listen, enjoy your summer. Plan well or don't. God bless.